From your perspective, what is the biggest challenge facing the US economy right now?
We we have many long-term challenges ahead of
Hmm.
us. It In a recession, when the world is on fire, so to speak, policymakers will go big, right? Everybody's a Keynesian in a foxhole. It
Yeah.
was true that in this COVID crisis, I mean, we really swung for the fences. Within
Hmm.
a year, there was almost $5 trillion in fiscal relief that went out. I mean, that was just unprecedented. It was nothing like we did not go big after the Great
Yeah.
Recession, largely because advisors and policymakers thought we couldn't. Like it just wasn't
Mhm.
possible because of the deficit spending. We went into this crisis all the way from CARES through the rescue plan. This was swing for the fences. Now, it
Mhm.
did to some extent contribute to inflation, and yet primarily what we're seeing in 2023 shows this. It was COVID that caused these disruptions in inflation, and we don't have that same swing for the fences attitude when it comes to long-term investments.
Yeah.
The Inflation Reduction Act was the first time that we put any kind of energy policy into legislation. It's not
Mhm.
enough, right? And the child tax credit, the new one, which took away the work requirements and really reduced child poverty, that was intended by the administration to keep going, to be renewed, and it wasn't.
Yeah.
And I mean, there is no better investment than in our children, and no child chooses what family they are born into, and no child in the United States should be living in deep poverty. I mean, we are the richest country in the world. So when it comes to making these long-term investments, the conversation falls into, oh, but the deficit, oh,
Yep.
the debt to GDP ratio. And I mean, I've argued recently in a Bloomberg opinion piece, fine, you're worried about the federal debt, let's talk about taxing and spending. Like, what are our priorities here? And for 30 plus years, there has been just outrage about the deficit. It's unsustainable and sensitive. Well, look, right, we're still here. We're still a dynamic, like, we need to be a more dynamic economy. That's how, everybody wants US treasuries. We are the best
Hmm.
economy in the world, but like, that's a privilege that we can lose. So to
Yeah.
me, like the conversation is all backwards in terms of long-term investment, and the long term will eventually become the short term. And then have we'll have some problems. And
Yeah.
I don't worry, I worry much more about passing a planet that is inhabitable onto my grandchildren than I worry about their tax bill being a little higher than if we
Hmm.
cut spending now. So I think that's the challenge, is the longer term. Not this way, we fought a crisis pretty well, but
Yeah.
what's the long term?